What if I told you Nintendo, the company behind Mario, Zelda, and the Switch, was once so close to bankruptcy that one failed product could have erased it from history? So how did this small Japanese company pull off one of the biggest comebacks in entertainment history? Let's analyze the economics behind the miracle. Most people know Nintendo from childhood nostalgia, but behind the scenes, it faced some of the worst business failures in gaming. In the 1980s, Nintendo was on top of the world. Donkey Kong, the NES, the Game Boy, Mario became a global icon. But then, the 1990s began, and with them, the collapse. The Virtual Boy wasn't just a failed console, it was an economic disaster. It suffered from poor sales, health complaints from users, and manufacturing costs that were way too high. Nintendo completely misjudged the market. This wasn't a small mistake, it was a balance sheet level threat. Nintendo's cash reserves began to shrink, and a new competitor appeared on the horizon, a company named Sony. Here's the twist. Nintendo was supposed to make the PlayStation. It was originally a joint project, a CD-ROM add-on for their own console. But when Nintendo backed out of the deal at the last minute, Sony didn't just walk away. They took Nintendo's blueprint and used it against them. The Sony PlayStation crushed Nintendo's next system, the N64, in global sales. And for the first time in the company's modern history, Nintendo lost its generational dominance. Investors panicked, share prices dropped, and market analysts predicted an early death for the house that Mario built. With rising losses and shrinking market share, Nintendo realized something crucial. It needed to change the game entirely. Its new strategy was simple. Stop trying to compete with Sony on graphics. Instead of fighting over the old market, create a brand new one, and focus on low-cost, unique innovation instead of getting stuck in a high-tech arms race. This change in strategy birthed one of the most important devices in entertainment history, the Nintendo DS. It was cheap to produce, its touchscreen gimmick had huge appeal, and it opened up a massive blue ocean market, selling over 154 million units. And then, Nintendo doubled down with the Wii. It wasn't designed for hardcore gamers. It was for families, for the elderly, for casual players who had never picked up a controller before. The hardware was low cost, which meant the profit margin was huge. Nintendo expanded the entire gaming market instead of just fighting for a slice of it. Economically speaking, this is blue ocean strategy in its purest form. Nintendo's biggest failures became its greatest teachers. They learned to avoid the tech arms race because it was too expensive. They learned to build cheaper hardware with higher margins. And most importantly, they focused on creating unique experiences that no one else could offer, turning their weaknesses into strengths. And then, the Switch happened. It was a hybrid console that combined Nintendo's entire history of lessons into one device. It became one of the best-selling systems of all time. Nintendo didn't survive because it was lucky. It survived because it understood something most people forget. In business and in life, you don't always win by having the best resources. You win by thinking differently, especially when you're losing. Thank you for watching Wise Wolf Economics, the Underdog Analyst. In our next episode, we leave gaming behind and open the pages of a man's life that were filled with debt, loss, and constant rejection. Before he became one of the greatest leaders in history, Abraham Lincoln failed at almost everything.